Welcome to Jimpressions. We're talking about the PCV today. The positive crankcase ventilation. That is really not on this car. We really don't have a PCV valve. We have an orifice back there in the back, right back there. I'm going to take this cover off and we're going to talk about it a little bit. I had other Impalas in the past. Work assigned to me for work back when I worked. And I liked them so much that I bought myself a personal one, a 2018 Impala. It also had the LFX engine in it. And this 2020 also has the LFX engine in it. Now, I thought it was going to be the LGX when I bought it. I actually bought it online, and it was a California dealer that had this car. And I assumed that it had the LGX in it, but I was glad that it didn't. That was one of the things that I was worried about, not wanting to. I wanted the newest car. I wanted the newest Impala possible, which was the 2020, but I didn't want the LGX engine. And I don't, if you're aware, the LGX engine is the upgrade, so to speak, of Chevrolet with that darn auto stop feature. I hate that. I did not want that in my car. So my plans were to figure out a way to rewire that and disable it, which I know you can buy kits that you can do that with. But when I got my car, I was surprised to see that it did not have the auto start feature, and that even though this is a 2020, it has the LFX engine in it. So in doing a little bit of research afterwards, after the fact, I found out that since this was the last model year of the Impala, that they were discontinuing it. I guess March of 2020 was the last one rolled off the assembly line, and they decided, hey, it's not worth it to upgrade everything that needs to be upgraded in order to go to the LGX engine. You know, the ECU's different, so much is different. It's just a complete redesign, and it just wasn't worth it to put all that time and money for the very last year. So although the 2020 Camaros and SUVs, although they got the LGX V6 engine, they left the LFX in the Impala, which I am very happy, because I would much prefer to have an LFX than an LGX personally. I know there's a lot of different thoughts on that. What I'm seeing though is a lot of the LFX engines that have that PCV orifice, we'll call it. I'll call it a PCV valve, even though it's not really a typical rattle like the old ones were. They get clogged, and I'm just doing routine maintenance on this one, and I'm curious. This has 70,000 miles on it, and there's not a whole lot of videos or there's not a lot of information out there about whether or not this can even come out. The older LFX motors, you see people pulling them out. The newer ones, you see when people try to pull them out, they break the valve cover. I'm hearing stories about people trying to pull these off and breaking the valve cover, and then you got to go buy a new valve cover. Chevrolet does not sell the PCV valve orifice. They don't sell that individually. You have to buy a new valve cover with that pushed on it. So here's what I'm going to test today to see if it works. I am going to try to pull that off. If I break it, then I guess I have to go spend $200 and some for a new valve cover. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Let's see what happens here. Let's get some more light over here and see if I can make this work. So let's get some light. I'm going to grab my trusty Astro off of its little magnetic holder there. These babies are awesome. Okay, I'm using a T30 to take this screw out. This is a pretty neat set of Torx screwdrivers here. Real cheap. Armistan on Amazon. If interested, check the links below. Take the cap off. Pop that off. And put the cap back on so I don't drop something down there. Grab a trim, like a trim tool here, Yeah, see if I'm just going to go ahead and pop this off. This little Christmas tree under there. Now I don't know how much that's going to help me, but I think it'll help a little bit. Yeah, that'll help access just a little bit there. So there we see what we're getting at right here. That right there. There's a little tab right here that pulls over in order to take this off. See that little tab right there? It was hard to get that on camera, but I'll show it to you just in case you need to see it. That little tab right there that's on my finger. You pull that over and then this will lift up real nicely. I'm just going to set that aside. And I think one of the things I want to do is get this out of the way. This kind of a heat protective cover, whatever that is. I pulled that out of the way, and now we're just right at the orifice there. I'm going to use some Kroll penetrant. If you haven't seen my video on this Kroll, it is in another class above everything else, all other penetrants. I swear, this stuff's amazing. Have you ever tried this? I know it's more expensive than a lot of the other common brands, and you get less for more money. But I use very, very little. I've had this can for 6 or 8 months. I don't know. The very first time I got it was for a water heater anode rod that wouldn't come out until I put this on it, and then it zipped right out. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of this, but I'm going to spray a little bit of this right around the edges. As I just put a little bit around the base of that. So I want that to soak in for a few minutes. I'm trying to do this without damaging my valve cover. So I hit plenty of that on there. So I put plenty of that on there. So I put a couple of squirts on there. And one thing I've noticed, look at that size of that hole on the end of that orifice. On a 2020, they fixed it. They drilled the heck out of that. Look how big that hole is. On the previous versions of the LFX, you might be aware that it has a tiny hole there, and the 2 holes on the bottom of it are small. And so there's a modification. A lot of people are drilling them out on their own. Well, I put a little bit of electrical tape on my pliers, some long pliers. I'm going to just wiggle this a little bit back and forth. I may have not let that sit long enough. I think I'm going to let that sit a little bit longer. The only reason I'm putting electrical tape on here is because I don't want to damage this one. If I had a brand new one and I knew it didn't matter, then I wouldn't worry about it if I damaged it. However, I am just not sure if I can get this out of there or not. Seems like the camera is in the way everywhere I go. I'm going to have to move the camera, unfortunately. Alright, so I had to put my vice grips right where I had my camera, unfortunately. But this is what I did. Let's see if I can hit that's on camera or not. I hope. I've got the tips wrapped in some electrical tape just to protect it a little bit from getting marred up. I don't know how much it's going to protect it. And then I'm just kind of gently wiggling back and forth a little bit while that penetrant hopefully goes in there and helps matters a little bit. I'm just barely wiggling it just to see if I can start to get some movement. I am not going to yank up on this unless I can get some movement on it first. Plan B, by the way, I've never done this, just to do it at your own risk, please. There are a couple of videos out there of people regretting this, saying that when they tried to take it off, they ended up buying a whole new valve cover. And I'm wondering if they just tried too aggressively, that type of thing. I don't know. Maybe it is permanently affixed in there where it will not come off on the 2020s. It comes off. on a lot of the older LFXs. So I don't know if anything was redesigned for 2020 to where this won't come off or something. That is my goal today. That is what I want to find out. Will that baby kind of, I don't know, loosen up going side to side before pulling straight up? Can I get it out so that I can inspect the bottom of it where those two holes are and see how bad it is with 70,000 miles on it? That's my goal. And I guess I can't be in a hurry because I don't want to make this job a lot worse than what it should be. And by the way, my backup plan, if I just can't get any side to side movement on it, then I'm just going to clean it out. I'm going to clean it out with probably throttle body cleaner. I mean, that'll work. I'm going to change the oil anyway afterwards. So that's the backup plan. The backup plan for this is throttle body cleaner down that hole. Well, here's an update. I have been trying to get a little bit of motion on this going back and forth with various types of pliers. As you can see, I have some minor damage on the ring on that lip right there, just from trying to twist it, and it's not budging so far. I did put the penetrant on it a couple more times. Just let it sit for a little while just to see if that helps. I'm going to try it one more time, and if I can't get this thing, I'm not willing to grab on real tight and damn it and completely destroy it. Right now, I think I can still put the connection on and still use this one. I am not wanting to sacrifice my valve cover, I guess. I was thinking initially I might do that, but wow, this looks like a lot of work to replace that. And I really don't want to do that in this 100-degree weather. So I think I'm going to resort to plan B, and I'm going to try it one more time just to see if a little bit more time and penetrant makes any difference at all. Yeah, I'm going to try one last attempt to see if it's going to work. Okay, I tugged on it some more, put more penetrant on it, and used about 4 different types of pliers to get on it. As you can see, just a little bit of damage right around this lip here. I don't think that's going to do any damage. I still have enough lip here to keep this connection on it. That should snap on fine. So I am not going to make any more attempts at pulling this off. I've watched other people on YouTube pull that thing off with older LFX engines. And by the way, did you know that you could tell if you have an LFX engine for sure by the 8th digit of your VIN? Most people probably know that, but in case someone doesn't, you can look at the 8th digit of your VIN, and if it's a number 3, you have the LFX. And if it's a number, if it is the letter S, then you have the newer LGX. So, and they didn't put the prior ones. I forget what those are, LT1 or LS, what are they called? I forget the previous version that were in like the 09s, and I don't know the exact years. They didn't put that engine in the 10th gen Impala. The 10th gen has the LFX. So anyway, I do not think it comes out. Although this is a LFX, they must have modified something on these. I can only assume that they've either modified the valve cover to where those PCV orifices don't come out as easy, or I'm not very strong. I'm not using the right tools. I don't know. I really believe I tried as much as you could try without damaging it. And who knows? Maybe I'll go down to the parts store, and see if they have this exact one. I'll take some measurements of it just to see if they have the exact one. And I might try to twist that out of there with more aggression. I don't know. It's really risky. So I think for this clean it. For this one, I am just going to do something else. I'm just going to go to plan B. I'm going to take a wire and I'm going to go down that hole. And first of all, I'm just going to see if I can get the wire through the bottom hole. Let's just see. So far I'm not feeling it. Oh, there it is. At least one of them. Yeah. So that went all the way through. Now there are two holes. I don't know. Ah, is that it right there? Well, that might be the same one. There's one. I'm trying to see where I'm at here. Either there's one big hole. You know, it almost seems like there's one big hole down there. I could be wrong, but okay, so maybe it's not in the middle. I at least, oh, there we go. I just punched through the other hole. You know what? That had some carbon buildup on it, because yeah, I could tell by the way I got in there that I punched through some carbon or something. So now, yeah, maybe I was on the edge of the hole and then it fell in. I don't know. However, it looks to me like there's plenty of hole there, whether it's one hole or if I did get through two. It's really hard to tell. But I think, boy, just by the feel of it, it just seems like it's just one big hole down there. I could be wrong. I'm going to spray some throttle body cleaner down in that hole. Okay. Just going to clean that hole out a little bit. And I'm just going to have to call that good. I'm going to do oil change in this right after and do a video for those who aren't real familiar with doing oil changes, the younger generation or someone who just hasn't done them before. I'll go ahead and do a video on how to do oil change on this car while I'm at it today. But yeah, I don't know. This stuff evaporates quickly, and I don't imagine that you'd have to do an oil change, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've already got the stuff here for it. I got this car not too long ago from a dealer, and I don't know what kind of oil they have in it, but I'm going to take a wild guess and say that a dealer did not put fully synthetic oil in the car that they're sending out. I mean, they gave me this car with brown transmission fluid, totally brown. I did 4 flushes. I put that all on the video as well if anybody's interested in flushing the transmission fluid 4 times to get 95% of that old fluid out of there. But a little bit about using the proper oil for these vehicles. I've had several Chevys in the past. I've experienced issues with various motors. I don't know. I am not, I'm going to let everybody know right up front, I am not a certified mechanic. I am a YouTube certified mechanic. No, I'm a DIYer. I work on my own cars. I have for years and years, decades. And I'm just doing research of what other people experience who use the cheapest oil that they can find at Walmart, the cheapest on the shelf. Not, it might be a synthetic blend, or it might not have any synthetic at all. And those of you who watch my channel know what I feel about synthetic blends. I'll never use them because you don't know how much synthetic they blended with it. It could have been 5 ounces, and they call it synthetic blend. It could be 1 ounce. So I use fully synthetic. But a little bit about these GM motors. GM developed this Dexos 1. You can see it says GM approved Gen 3. They're on Gen 3 now. And by the way, you're not going to see Gen 3 on these bottles. I probably got some of the last couple of bottles that say Gen 3 on them, because Mobil 1 basically said, screw you to Chevy. We're not going to pay you your fees for putting the sticker on the front of the bottle. I don't know why they did that. I wish I was a fly on the wall in the boardroom when they decided, hey, you know what? We're a little tired of paying of paying GM all this money just so we can put a label on our product, when other products like Amsoil, Redline, I don't know, there's others that do not have the Dexos 1 label on their product, yet they can still meet the specifications and explain that they meet those specifications on the bottle. There's certain things they have to do for cleaning agents and all kinds of things. Lubricants that won't damage internal parts of the motor so that you don't develop leaks and whatever it is. I don't know for sure. I just know one thing that is for sure, in my opinion, that those people who use the cheapest oil that they can and only rely on the odometer, or not the odometer, but the in the instrument cluster where it says it's time to change the oil. If they rely on that and the cheapest oil that they can find, they're going to get all kinds of carbon buildup. They're going to get their holes in their PCV orifice blocked, and they're going to have problems. So, okay, so let me go back a little bit and talk about that counter. In case you didn't know, the counter on these Chevy vehicles, again, all of this is just based on my research. I could be wrong with anything. Please don't take anything that I say and run with it and it be inaccurate and something costs you money. This is for entertainment purposes only. But yeah, but I have done a lot of research, and from what I could find out, that is triggered. It's basically set for a maximum of 7,500 miles on these Chevys. So in other words, if you drove under great conditions, this is me driving, by the way. If you drove 75 miles an hour on the highway for that entire 7,500 miles, you might get 7,500 miles between oil changes. If you're doing a lot of stop and go traffic and cold weather and a lot of starts and stops, then the car knows that somehow, the ECU knows that, and it will adjust that oil gauge odometer, I don't know what it's called, a counter? Yeah, the counter to tell you that you need a new oil change. It'll adjust that accordingly. However, I don't know for sure what you can get out of it. Like if you're doing a lot of stop and go, it might tell you need a new oil change after 6,000 miles or 5,500 miles. I don't know. And I don't know how accurate it is. But all I know is what I do. And I got this car from a dealer without knowing the history of it. It has a cheapy oil filter on it, and I have a feeling it's got the worst possible engine oil that the dealership can buy just to say, hey, we gave it an oil change, and that looks good to the person buying it. Oh, look at that fresh, clean oil in there. Yeah, I'm going to get that cheap crap out as soon as possible. So my point is, you may want to consider not even ever looking at that counter again, other than resetting it so it doesn't bother you when it comes on. Put some little stickers in the window, something to tell you, to remind you when to change the oil in these vehicles. I really should have gone over all this in my oil change video instead of this one, but I'm digressing because I think it's important as related to the PCV valve as well, PCV orifice as well. And so that's why I wanted to cover it in this video as well. Just to let people know, hey, you may not want to wait 7,500 miles with these motors. Motors are expensive. Oil is dirt cheap compared to motors. So what I do 3,000 miles. If it's the dead of winter and I'm hitting the 3,000 mile mark, I might wait till 3,500 miles, 3,700 miles, something like that. As soon as I get a decent day, I'm out here changing the oil. I don't even think I go to 4,000 miles ever, but that's just me. Oil, you can buy some good quality, full synthetic oil that does meet the GM designation. It doesn't have to have the Dexos 1. Yours, the older stuff said Gen 2. They went to Gen 3. That's what the Gen is. That's what they're on as of the recording of this video. And Mobil 1 was putting it on their bottles for a while, and then they decided, screw you, GM. We're not going to pay your licensing fees and your whatever other fees they have for putting this on their bottle. When other manufacturers such as Redline or Amsoil, they don't pay. They don't pay just to put that label on the bottle. They explain on the back of it that it meets all of the requirements. Something similar to this has the following builder's approval for GM Dexos 1 Gen 3, and then it shows that it meets for Ford, Chrysler, that type of thing. So that is what Mobil 1 is going to do to save a bunch of money. They probably got tired of paying for just putting that sticker, but I'm sure there's a lot of politics involved. The Gen 3 is what made Mobil 1 mad. Whatever happened with Gen 3, I think they might have increased the licensing fees or required additional things, studies. I don't know. I don't know what it was that Mobil 1 said, no, we'll keep all of the ingredients we need to have. The oil is exactly the same as it was, but we're not going to pay to put that sticker on anymore. So you might get Mobil 1 Advanced Full Synthetic on the shelf shortly after the recording of this video, and it may not say Dexos 1 Gen 3 on it anymore, but look on the back of it. It's still the same stuff. It's still good. Amsoil, fine. Amsoil probably meets and exceeds it. It's just way too expensive. It's just more expensive. I don't know if it's way too expensive. I shouldn't say that. I looked into it once and I thought, no, I'm using Mobil 1. I've used this for years and I love it. I use their oil filters as well. And yeah, that's enough about that. Use good oil in these cars. And I guess clean that PCV orifice every once in a while. Just with you know what this is right here? This wire that I used right here? Let me show you. I just had some old landscape felt ties. Can you see that on the video? There we go. Yeah, just those landscape felt ties. It seems like the right diameter to stick down there, and long enough, you know, bend it, but not completely straight. You don't accidentally drop that down in your motor. So I've got it bent like that. There's no way that that's going to fall that far down there. And spray a little throttle body cleaner down there. So in the comments, let me know, please. I am very curious to know if anybody else in the 2020, even the 2018, 2019s Impalas, have you been able to get that orifice with the big hole? Have you been able to get that off? Well, I thought this was interesting. You know how you read all over the place that the modification to these PCV orifices and LFX engines are to drill out the bottom two holes 5/64ths and to drill out the top hole 7/64ths. This is just in here for reference. This is a 9/64ths. But even the next size bigger than that is a 5/32. And this 5/32, watch this. 5/32. This 5/32 fits in this hole perfectly. This is drilled out. There's no wobble. Yeah, there's no wobble here. This hole is drilled out from the factory at 5/32. That's a nice big hole. So they obviously modified it. I don't know at what point. I heard they modified it in 2014, but some of the YouTube videos that I saw the modifications on, and this, what do you call that? What do you call that? I'm drawing a blank when they put out a service bulletin, SB, dealer service bulletin, or TSB, technical service bulletin. I can't remember what they call it. But anyway, GM put out a bulletin that shows what, I guess they made it official. In other words, if people were doing this modification on their own, and then other people were saying, hey, don't drill out the holes, you know, you're not supposed to do that, it could mess up the car. Well, then GM did it, from what I understand, on some of their LFXs. Well, apparently on the 2020, they went even bigger. They went to this hole here. It's a pretty big hole. I have this drawing of the PCV orifice. I don't know for sure how far it sticks in there, or if there's one hole or two holes at the bottom. The old ones have two holes. I'm imagining there are, but I can't tell for sure when sticking a wire down there. I know I can get the wire through it because my wire goes way down when I'm sticking it in. It is going past, you know, way down here. I just can't tell if it's going through the same hole and or if it's just one big hole. It's really hard to tell. But I know I'm through it. I know I at least have something through it, and then it's not clogged up completely. At 70,000 miles, I'm imagining that it doesn't have much on it. I would love to pull this out and clean it, but I just can't get it done. Let me know if you can do it on a 2020. Whenever they made this modification of the 5/32 hole, can you get that out of your valve cover? I'm real curious. So anyway, I did put a caliper on this little lip that's right here that I damaged a little bit right there. It looked like 10.6. I might have been off a little bit. Maybe it was 10.5. This very bottom piece that butts up against the valve cover, I got 14.9. It's very likely 15 millimeters, and I was just off a little bit on my. I can't get my caliper in there at any angle that I can figure out to measure this. But I figured I'll measure this one and this one and that hole, and I'm going to bring this down to the local auto parts store, and I'm going to see if they have this in stock. I'm going to check whatever years they have and just take a look at it and see if it looks the same as this one. If it is, I might be willing to grab the heck out of this, twist the heck out of it, and see if I can get it out of there and put a new one in there. But if not, then I'm just going to leave this in, clean it, and drive the car. So I did go to the parts stores today. I actually checked 3 of the big 3. You probably know which ones I'm talking about, because I already went to the dealer and they didn't have this for sale. They didn't sell the PCV Orifice, the metal one, just the other one that's in the front. And I didn't put on video that I popped that out and checked it, and it was clean. So I wasn't even worried about the front side there that goes to the air cleaner area. That was perfectly wonderful on my car with 70,000 miles. No signs of anything at all. So I was only worried about this rear one that gets really dirty that I'm pointing to with the pencil there, my drawing anyway. And the parts stores don't have it either. All the parts stores had was the whole valve cover for sale. And so I asked them, hey, for the heck of it, can you pull me a 2012 Impala PCV, the metal one, for the back valve cover? And they did. And they brought it out to me, and it had the smaller holes. It might have been drilled out a little bigger. I only brought that bigger drill bit with me that fit down in my hole in the 2020 to check it. And yeah, it wasn't even close. It was way smaller than that drill bit. So this leads me to believe that Chevy made some sort of a modification at some point with, I don't know what year they started it, but at least on mine, in my 2020, they have this really large hole drilled in the top of it. And I don't know what the bottom looks like, obviously. I don't know if that even comes off. But I was glad to get a wire down in there. And then after jamming that wire through the bottom and putting some cleaner in there, I really think that probably cleaned it out pretty good. Okay, well, I pushed the top back on it. I did hear a nice click, and I pushed my hoses. I pushed these, the little Christmas tree, back in there to put these back where they go. And yeah, at least I got it cleaned out. I did hear, I don't know how well that cleaned it, but here's my thought. And let me explain a little bit. When I was pushing this wire down in there, it initially it didn't really want to go through. I was kind of feeling around and like, where's the hole? And I applied just a little bit more pressure, not a lot, just a little bit more pressure, and it went through. And you could tell it went all the way through. So then I just kind of maneuvered it around in there a little bit. Now here's what I did. I tried to find a second hole. I went all over the place looking for a second hole. I didn't find one. So I don't know if they modified it to be one big hole at the bottom and one big hole at the top. And I went, it just seemed like it, but I couldn't tell. Or maybe I was going through 2 holes and the other one wasn't clogged as much. Because one of them had a definitive, you could tell, hard to explain, but you could tell that it wasn't initially going in and then yeah, then it forced its way through there, and then it was loose and going through just fine. So I think at 70,000 miles, I'm assuming I had a little bit of buildup down there. Yeah, I'd really love to take that thing off. I hope somebody comments below or even posts a video showing how they're getting it off without damaging the valve cover. If not, the next best thing, I guess, is to just clean it every once in a while, to shoot some spray down there, and like maybe right before an oil change, go ahead and clean it out, but with a wire and some spray, and that might help. You know, I don't know. I'm just guessing because there's not a lot of info out there on how to clean that PCV orifice, and I'm thinking that this might be a good idea to do this method every once in a while. If I keep doing this, then I think it's going to maintain the flow that it needs. I don't think it's going to clog up. So I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts on it. Do you think this is a good idea? I think it is, and I'm going to do it unless or until I hear something better from a certified GM mechanic. Hey, you certified GM mechanics out there, let me know what your thoughts are on this. I'm going to try to do more research on it, and I will update in the comments if I find out any more information on my research. But anyway, that is going to do it. I'll put the cover back on and call that a finished job. You could have used the electronic cleaner or even the mass airflow sensor cleaner, because it's just, I think throttle body cleaner personally. That's what I'm going with. It's a little stronger, and it's going into a place where you kind of want it to be strong to hopefully kind of loosen up those deposits, and then a lot of that might be flushed out, especially with running the wire down there. I'm thinking the other ones evaporate a little quicker, but the throttle body cleaner evaporates pretty good too, and it's a stronger cleaning agent. So that's what I'm going to use. Just to be completely safe, whenever I spray that down there, I'm going to do it before an oil change. I might do it every other oil change, something like that, just as that might be overkill, actually. It takes a while for that carbon to build up. I think what I'm going to do, I have an app on my phone where I track my oil changes, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this thing every 4th oil change, because that's 12,000 miles. I think that's a good number, every 12,000 miles, just to squirt some, run the wire down in there a little bit, squirt some of that throttle body cleaner in there, and let it sit for a little bit while you set up for your oil change, and then do your oil change, and then take it for a drive, and I think that'll be really good. What do you think? Do you think I'm onto something here, or do you think I'm crazy? Anyway, thank you for joining Jimpressions for the PCV orifice / valve issue or problem, whatever you want to call it, on this 2020 Impala. What are your thoughts? Comment below. If you got anything out of this or enjoyed it, I would sure appreciate a like and subscribe. I do a lot of videos on this 2020 Impala Premier. Just had the windows with ceramic tint, and I just love it. Have you had ceramic tint done to yours yet? Wow, what a difference. When you get in the car, it cools off quicker. It's just awesome. I've never had ceramic tint. My pickup has regular tint on it, and I want to pay someone to peel all that off and put ceramic tint on it. Anyway, I do a lot of videos on that 2015 Ram, my cousin's Malibu, my son's pickups, other cars, neighbors, friends that need something worked on. I like to do videos, talk about car repairs. So yeah, like and subscribe. Have a good day.